Welcome to the Tough Decisions Network for Entrepreneurs. I'm Dennae Handford, and my wife, Dennae, and I interview successful people sharing stories behind tough decisions that they've had to make along their journey as an entrepreneur. On the podcast with us today is Kyle Reidhead. Kyle, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Kyle, I want you to get us started, and I want you to kind of introduce yourself a little bit and give us a little bit of a brief background of you and where your current focus is right now as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, sure. So I'm an online health coach. So I work one-on-one with clients to sort of optimize their health. I work mainly with busy business professionals that just don't really have time or know how to change or improve their health. So that's kind of my niche. I left the corporate world in 2018 in the middle of the summer, so in June, to focus on doing this as well as some other things I do, like a podcast and a digital wellness channel called HealthSimple, but to do that full time. And about a month and a half ago, I moved to Bali, Indonesia to work completely online and sort of scale and grow my business out here and just work to try to help as many clients as possible while living on an island and learning to surf. So that's kind of where I'm at. My focus right now is just trying to figure out how to operate this completely online digital life. You know, it's new to me. I've always been in an office in corporate sales for years. And so it's been a lot of fun and a great experience, transitioning to be able to, work and live kind of remotely and wherever I want. So just trying to dial that in at the moment and make sure that I have it all figured out and am able to kind of handle my clients appropriately as I do it.
Well, I want you to kind of first get us started with the first tough decision that you've had to face as an entrepreneur. And I like to start with one that I call, Kyle, the sore thumb tough decision. So it's a tough decision that was really hard, and you come to find out it really didn't turn out the way you'd expected, and it didn't have that good of an outcome. And I want to kind of dive into some of the lessons you learned through it, because even though it might have had a not so good outcome, a lot of times that's where we grow the most as entrepreneurs. So Can you share that tough decision with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started HealthSimple, it was a couple of years ago, I didn't really know where I was going to take it. I just knew I wanted to teach people how to be healthy, and I wanted to simplify that. And so when I came up with the idea, my best friend approached me and asked to sort of join in with me, but I didn't quite know where he fit in. He didn't have the health background. He didn't really have the background of marketing or, an entrepreneurial background. So I said no. But a few months later, he bought a camera and became like a photographer and started editing video. And so I asked him to come back in and gave him a piece of the company. And it was great in the beginning, but what happened was there started to create some tension between him and I, just as friends. And we were roommates at the time, living in Toronto. And you could just tell that things were starting to sort of fall apart between him and I. And we've been best friends since grade 5. So it wasn't something that I wanted to risk or have. And we just stopped kind of enjoying the process of being an entrepreneur and building a business, which is the whole reason why I did this. So it took a little while, but eventually we just decided we would split ways, and he's kind of doing his own thing, whereas now I'm doing mine. And everything went back to normal. Our friendship, came back to as solid as it used to be. He's actually moving out here to Bali in about a month to come do the same sort of, live the same sort of lifestyle. So everything sort of turned around, but I think I just made that move too quickly of bringing on friends and bringing on someone else into my business and, doing it without thinking it through fully.
How were you able to roll that back? Because I think a lot of times when we move forward with things, it's sometimes hard to roll them back.
Yeah, it definitely is. And luckily, he kind of felt the exact same way. So it wasn't really that I had to fire him or let him go or anything. It was more of just we both kind of came to that conclusion that, hey, this isn't working out. We're kind of wanting different directions. And he was new enough into the company that he didn't put enough time or money into it that he was, completely committed to it. So we just kind of had a conversation, and we're completely true to each other. And I think that's what you have to be, whether it's a best friend or, another business partner. And so we just had that conversation, and everything has been on point ever since. So it's all about just having that conversation and being upfront.
So what are some of the things that maybe now that going through that maybe you would do differently if you had to go back? Like, what are some of those things that you would tell yourself to make yourself go, that's not a good idea?
I think part of it was I had just started the company and I'd never run my own company before. I've been a part of startups. And so when I first started my own, I thought, you know what, I want to build a team. I want to get others in here. I want to get, other skill sets in here, but it was still early on. It wasn't really needed. So I think the biggest thing that I learned was, to push myself as an entrepreneur to continue to try to get the most out of myself first. And, don't try to build a team until you really need it. I think if I would have had that mindset going into it, things would have ran a lot smoother. Either way, though, I'm still thankful that I had him. It was kind of an accelerator for me because he helped me with areas that I didn't know. So I don't regret it in any way. I think failing and making mistakes is super important and something we all need to do. So I never see this as an issue or something that was a mistake necessarily. I see it as something to learn from. So overall, I still am happy with the decisions that I've made.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest distinctions with this particular podcast is some of the decisions we make can have bad outcomes. It doesn't necessarily mean that, we regret making those decisions or whatever, because it is those decisions that we make are what shape us as entrepreneurs. And so I think going through those things helps us, build stronger bonds with other people, but also stronger abilities to be able to learn and grow as an entrepreneur. So the next tough decision that I want us to go through today is one that it was still a really hard decision to make, but ended up having a really good and positive outcome, and then some of those lessons that you learned through that one.
Yeah, and I think the one I have for this is probably something that a lot of entrepreneurs would say, or that a lot of them are trying to decide right now, and that was leaving the comfort of my salary job. I mean, I had a great job in Toronto, living there, a sales job where I was one of the first employees at this company, took it from a startup to an international business, loved my team there. Everything was great, but I just knew I wanted to have my own baby. I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to travel and kind of live the life that I'm currently living. So a huge decision was saying goodbye to that life and going full on with my business that it wasn't making enough that I could live in Toronto and be, like I was when I had my salary job. So it's a tough decision to go from that guaranteed money every 2 weeks to hoping that you have enough clients or hoping that you have enough, revenue coming in. So that was by far my toughest decision, but where it's led me in just a short period of time, the amount of effort and focus I've been able to put into my business and into my clients, has been worth all of it. So I absolutely love that decision and I'm super excited that I did it when I did.
So diving into that tough decision a little bit here, what were some of the things that you had to make sure you had in place before stepping out from the corporate job?
Yeah, great question. So a few things. One is a safety net. You got to have a bit of cash. You got to have a bit of money saved up. And luckily I'd put a lot of effort into, my finances and budgeting and just learning how to handle money and what money is. I've just put a lot of time into studying and reading that. So I was very good with managing my money. And I think that is what has allowed me to do what I currently am. The other thing is actually having a product or a service or a business that has been proven, right? So I had clients, I had money coming in. So I knew that if I put more time into it, more effort into it, then I could continue to build that revenue and build, out my business. I think there's a lot of people that just get sick of the corporate world. They don't really have a true business set yet or a foundation. And they say, screw it, I'm out. And then a few months later, they got to come back and get back into a 9-to-5 job. So for me, is having that safety net because that's going to help you with stress and anxiety when you leave your salary job. And the other thing is knowing that you have a business that you can focus all your time on. Because when you're sitting at home all day, if you don't have something to really put your time and effort into and kind of grab onto, the thoughts start to come and stress and anxiety and just boredom even. But luckily I had a lot going on and a lot to work towards. So I was able to really dial in and focus in on that.
How did you pivot and start to learn and pick up some of the digital marketing side of things of what you're doing right now?
Yeah, so being in a startup company, as much as I was sales, I wore a lot of different hats. So I did a lot of the website development stuff. I had to learn that anyway. I had to do a lot of the marketing stuff and actually hired a marketing team as well when I was there. So I had a good idea of it. And then I also just it was interesting to me. I loved the whole online digital marketing, space. And so I listened to a lot of podcasts. I read a lot of books and just kind of put my energy into learning as much as I could about that. One, for the business that I was already in, and then two, for the business that I was starting. So it really was just kind of putting my effort and my time into learning myself. I know a lot of people, and a lot that I've spoken to here in Bali as well, that they just try to hire other people to do a lot of these things. And for me, I want to learn it and really dive into it and get in the nitty gritty of it so that I can figure it out myself. Once I have, then I'll delegate. But for me, I wanted to learn it as much as I could so I knew the decisions that I was making rather than just hoping that someone I hire can do it for me.
Did you start the online health coaching business prior to actually moving to Bali?
I did, yeah. So that was something I had clients before I came, which was one of the things that allowed me to do it because, moving to Bali without any money or without any, revenue or income coming in, I had a little bit through affiliate marketing and through other things, but my high ticket price or where, most of my income comes is from clients. So I had done that back when I was in Toronto, when I had a lot of time to focus on it and really dial in what I was doing and make sure that, okay, I can do this well for clients. Once I figured that out, I said, okay, time to move somewhere else and figure out how I can do that from across the world.
So the online health coach space, I kind of think about that and I go, it seems to me like it's a crowded space. And so how do you differentiate yourself and stand out from that crowded environment?
Mm-hmm. It is pretty crowded, I think, and for good reason. I think a lot of people need help in this area. For me, it was just about providing value. When I first started HealthSimple, I started an Instagram account and posted every day teaching people about health and just trying to simplify it because a lot of the good health researchers out there that have podcasts and Instagram accounts, they go really in depth into the science. And for me, I had a science background, so I understood it and took a lot from it. But for others that I met, they had no idea what these people were saying. So they were reading the kind of fluffy stuff, the top 5 this, top 5 that, which aren't all that true, a lot of the stuff you read in those types of headlines. So I made it kind of my focus and my goal to take the real research, take the science, but then try to simplify that for people so that they can make it practical in their daily activities. And so I try to do that on my podcast. I do that on my Instagram account and anywhere that I have, social content. And I think that sits well with my audience. And then from there, it was just trying to find a niche that I'm passionate about. And I mean, I've been a busy professional. I've gone through burnout and, feeling fatigued all day and not having energy. And so I've fought my way through that. I figured out how to eat properly and train and supplement to get through all that. So I knew that I had something to offer to my clients if those were my clients. And so that's where I've kind of focused my marketing is to the people that I think that I can help and that I want to help. Because when you follow your passion, I think you can be successful in anything. It doesn't matter how crowded it is.
Can you share with us some strategies that you like to do when you face a tough decision?
Yeah, for sure. First thing is take a bit of time to think about it. So I usually sleep on it. And I mean, a lot of good things happen when you sleep. So if you wake up and you're refreshed, you can make a lot better decisions than say it was late night. So that's usually my first thing. If it has to be done that day, then I do like to get a bit of a workout in or just practice breathing. Either one. If I don't have time to do a workout, I usually just sit back, close my eyes, and it doesn't have to be a full meditation, but I just kind of do some diaphragmatic breathing. So breathing in through your belly, nice and slow, and just take a few breaths. And that just helps to relax, lower your cortisol, and just sort of, let you think a little bit more clearly. So for me, I think breathing is one of the best tools that any human can use because it's free and it's accessible at any time, anywhere. So if I get an email that I don't like, if I have a big decision I have to make, whatever it is, you sit back, take a couple breaths, just be mindful for a little bit, and you'll feel a lot clearer and be able to make a better decision.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking to Kyle Reidhead about a series of quick questions and answers that we call the trifecta. Have you ever thought about investing in real estate, but find yourself so busy that you don't have time for it? Do you have FOMO, which is the fear of missing out? At HanfordCapital.com, we help investors with passive real estate investments that project better returns than traditional investment vehicles such as the stock market. If you'd like to find out more about our passive real estate investments, visit HanfordCapital.com. That's HANDFORD capital.com. We will jump on a call with you to discuss your investment goals and to see if our investments are a good fit for you. This advertisement is not to be construed as an offer or recommendation to buy or sell a security. Visit HanfordCapital.com. And we are back with Kyle Reidhead. Kyle, we're going to go through this series of quick questions and answers that we call the trifecta, and want you to kick it off by giving us your favorite technology that you use in business that helps make your life easier every day.
That's a good question. I got to say my AirPods or EarPods, I don't know what you call them, but wireless headphones have been amazing, just because I can cook, I can go to the gym, I can do whatever I need and still listen to podcasts, still be on calls, listen to audiobooks, whatever it is. So just having that, it just saves so much more time in the day when you have these. I leave my phone wherever and I can just run around and learn, or, still have calls and do what I need to do. So I picked those up, I think in November of 2018, and I absolutely love them.
What's a favorite quote that you've heard that has helped you as an entrepreneur?
One of my big things is I'm all about failing and just figuring out from there what you need to do to succeed. And I found a quote, and it actually fits well with this podcast, but it's the more you fail and are wrong, the more you will succeed and be right. And I'm a huge proponent of that. I think, everyone needs to just stop being afraid of failing and just go out there and fail as much as possible. And that's how you're going to figure out your path.
And what's a favorite book that has helped you make better decisions as an entrepreneur?
I'm going to have to answer two here. But one is How to Win Friends and Influence People. This was the first sales book that I ever read, and is what allowed me to be so successful in sales. It allows you, it wasn't just sales, but it helped me just overall life, just being able to deal with people and, make people like you and make people do what you want them to do. So if you haven't read that book, it is my favorite book of all time. The other one, and what's allowed me to get here to Bali, is The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. That's really what gave me the mindset and made me understand that, hey, I can leave Toronto and I can run my business from anywhere in the world.
What's the next thing for you right now on your vision or dream board?
So, I have a few things, but with my business, I think I want to write a book. It's called Human First, and it's basically teaching people that whether you want to be a CEO or a professional athlete or a scientist or whatever you want to be, you got to remember that you're a human first, and we have requirements as humans, and that's eating real food, sleeping enough, movement, all these different things. And so I really want to break that down and just remind people that, hey, I know it's 2019 and we have all this technology, but you know what? We're still humans. We're still those same people that we were hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and we've got to fulfill those requirements.
Well, Kyle, how can the listeners reach out to you if they want to follow you more, chat with you, and kind of reach out to you, maybe even pick your brain a little bit about some of your stuff with your online health coaching?
So I'm mainly on Instagram, so you can find me there. I answer all my DMs and talk to whoever. So it's at HealthSimple_. So definitely check that out. You can get to anything you need from there. But I also have a podcast called HealthSimple Radio. We talk about everything in the health and wellness space, so you may want to check that out. And then finally, we have a website, healthsimpleinfo.com. So you can find everything you need there. But hit me up on Instagram. Happy to chat. Happy to jump on a call and see how I can help you.
Well, Kyle, thank you again so much for being here with us today. Looking forward to continuing to follow you and also having you on a future episode as you continue to grow as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it, Dan.
Thank you for listening to the Tough Decisions Network. Be sure to visit toughdecisions.net to gain access to show notes for this episode and to join our free weekly entrepreneur email, where we will send you news about the latest technology for your business, inspiring quotes, and the latest books for entrepreneurs. That's toughdecisions.net.